Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, it was the 46th annual Saturn Awards recently. Now, the Saturn Awards are for science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and I really should pay more attention to these awards, but I haven't paid attention to them for years. Now, being a genre awards ceremony, it doesn't get as much respect from the mainstream as it probably should, which is probably why it gets forgotten a bit, and I probably have not paid attention to it as much as well because it just doesn't get as much press. But yeah, I saw an article basically stating that Star Trek Discovery won Best Science Fiction Series for its third season this year. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Now, you may disagree about whether it's a good show or a bad show or not, but I certainly wouldn't think it's the best science fiction show on TV at the moment. And I was really surprised that it got that award. Now, Doug Jones also got an award for acting, but that's no surprise because he's a good actor and he does really well with makeup. He's sort of legendary. And of course Patrick Stewart got an award for Picard, which, I mean, he is a good actor. He's given many great performances, but I really didn't think he was good in Picard. So I'm kind of surprised he got that award as well, but not that surprised because, you know, he's known as a good actor, so people are probably voting on his legendary status as opposed to the actual performance, which a lot of people probably didn't even see. But they just voted because of Patrick Stewart. Now, so far as the competition for Star Trek Discovery, because Michelle Paradise was there to accept the award, and Doug Jones was there to accept his award. Patrick Stewart didn't appear to be there to accept his award, but it was competing with a few other shows. And I kind of thought it can't be the best science fiction show at the moment. Like, it can't be the best. And then when I looked at the competition, there was Doctor Who, which apparently is abysmal. I haven't seen it. I've only heard bad things about it, but I haven't actually watched it myself, so I can't really judge. Lost in Space, which was awful. It really should have been called Marooned on a Planet because they never really were in space doing anything. It was cheaper than the original show, which they kept pretty much on the same planet a lot of the time and just had aliens and people visiting where they were landed on the planet rather than actually going planet to planet like it was sort of the promise of the show, really. And I thought it would have been different with the new series, but they pretty much did the same thing, which is really disappointing. So yeah, Lost in Space, Pandora, which I haven't seen, Raised by Wolves, which I haven't seen, and Westworld, which I saw, which was good, but wasn't really that interested in me because I hate westerns and anything to do with westerns, anything to do with sand and dirt and out in the outback or the desert, as you call it in America. I'm assuming most people watching this are American. Most of my viewers are. Yeah, so I'm really surprised. But then when I looked at that lineup, I'm like, well, I haven't really heard much about Pandora, Raised by Wolves. I haven't heard anything good. It doesn't seem to be anything great. I've been told I have to go and see. Lost in Space wasn't very good. Doctor Who I heard nothing good about. So I guess it's not a huge shock because it's probably the most expensive show that's probably got the most support behind it. So it looks like it got the award because it's, you know, a Star Trek show on Paramount Plus, basically. But then I heard, shockingly even more, that Discovery has won for Best Science Fiction Show each year that's been on. But the other 2 years, they didn't distinguish between streaming and network. So there was like the real science fiction awards, the real shows, and then for the streaming shows, and I sort of looked at it sort of like that way. But now it's all one. So it bet the other network or every other show, not just the ones that are on streaming as well. So I was kind of surprised to hear that. But it's more shocking now that there's no longer that distinction between the two. And this is the 5th time in history that Star Trek has received 3 awards. There were 3 awards in 1977, which I have no idea what that was from. There was nothing in production in 1977. The animated series was 1973 to 1974. The motion picture, I think, was sort of in pre-production and different levels of production hell in 1977, but it certainly wasn't being produced until 1978 and released. And so I don't know how this couldn't be to do with that. 1997 was the other year that would be Voyager or Deep Space Nine or First Contact, so that's understandable. And 2018, 2019 would be Star Trek Discovery. So how it didn't get multiple awards for Next Gen and for early Deep Space Nine, which the first few years of Deep Space Nine was really good before they got into their pro-war sort of thing. I'm just kind of surprised that it's considered the best science fiction show on television. I don't know what this says for science fiction and for science fiction awards and for the Saturn Awards, because I would have thought they'd know more about quality science fiction. I'm really just kind of shocked because I could understand a mainstream award ceremony giving Star Trek an award because it's it's Star Trek, so it has a reputation for quality, and if they're not watching the show and don't really know much about Star Trek, they would assume that Discovery is the same level of quality as the other Star Trek shows, which it really isn't. And nor is Picard. Picard's even worse. At least Discovery's in space. There's some element of science fiction and fantasy there, and you actually get to actually watch some space scenes. Picard was just Picard wandering around LA. Lower Decks is actually decent. It started off bad and it turned good, and I actually enjoyed the last few episodes of the second season. The animation's not great, but the overall look is canon and it kind of works, so I'm kind of okay with that show. But yeah, I'm really shocked. So I just had to say something about that because I'm just like, really? But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of these awards. Thanks. Bye.